Hello, David here, and welcome to the Joint-Wise Yoga course. The three main aspects of the course are breathing practices, yoga postures, and healthy movement patterns. 5 breathing techniques that we are going to learn are breathing that promotes healthy body alignment, that promotes healthy movement patterns, that helps to refresh or reinvigorate us, breathing that helps us be extra alert, maybe a coffee substitute, and breathing that helps us relax more deeply or fall asleep. The yoga postures that we'll be covering include standing and seated pose, seated and standing forward bend, seated and standing twist, chair pose, bridge, cobra, tree, warrior one, cat cow, hip stabilizer, also known as goddess pose, warrior two. Healthy movement's an important avenue to wellness too. We'll learn how to move in ways that are healthy for our joints, how to combine breath with movement, how to move more efficiently in the 3 planes of motion, and how momentum can be used to our advantage, and how better starting position leads to better movement quality, and why certain unhealthy movement patterns lead to the joint problems that people tend to develop. We'll get started with session 1 with some very important fundamentals. First thing to learn is lateral rib breathing. Breathing forward into the chest and the belly is not very healthy for us. So here's a little video, breathing to the side versus initiating the breath into the chest or forward into the belly. We want the breath to have a neutral effect on the body. Of course, the most important muscle to learn is about the respiratory diaphragm. It attaches to the bottom of the rib cage all the way around to the back and then the front of the lumbar, the lower back vertebrae. And then on the top, it attaches to the lungs, the bottom of the lungs. So when the muscle contracts, it's going to pull the lungs down, creating a vacuum that'll suck in the air. And then other muscles here, the intercostals, also participate and help with, say, that lateral breathing that we were talking about. So when we inhale, we're using our diaphragm, pulling those lungs down. And when we exhale, we're naturally letting go. So when we inhale, the diaphragm is pulling down, causing those lungs to suck in the air, and the intercostal muscles are cascading, pulling the ribs upward. And then if we're taking a deeper breath, then the muscles up in our shoulders and our neck will also help to participate to pull that rib cage up. And then when we exhale, it's a time to let go. So the muscles up in the neck and the shoulders should go, and then all the rib cage muscles let go. And then the diaphragm comes back up to its resting position. But the most important thing to learn from session 1 is lateral breathing, placing your hands on the bottom of the rib cage, inhaling outward, and then exhaling, feeling all of those muscles letting go as you exhale. The 2 important foundational positions, of course, for movement and life are standing position and, of course, sitting position. And just notice that the spine, when it's neutral, is in basically the same position. We want our yoga practice to carry over into real life, so we want to be more neutral more often and not in this kind of a position. So we want to practice good alignment in our practice. So let's talk about good neutral sitting position. Of course, we want to be neutral on our sitting bones. It's a foundation for our spine when we're seated. So about spinal alignment, we hear people say straighten up, but the spine is not at all like a slinky. Notice that the shape of the spine is quite different, and the joints will not let the spine straighten in a straight up direction. The spine needs to straighten like that direction first, and then with the chin tucking in. I'm going to play a video. And you can notice the motion there. And I'm going to play it one more time. So we're not like a slinky. We can't go straight up. We need to go up and slightly forward. So this gentleman here, there's some ergonomic issues, right? The way he's seated, needs a better chair and needs to have the laptop closer to him, for example. But as far as his spine goes, it needs to go this way first and then to tuck his chin in. So here I'm going to demonstrate for you what that gentleman needed to do. So lengthen up, then tuck the chin in. And I think all of us need to work on this type of movement. So here it is with the spine model. Notice it goes forward and up, then we tuck back. Extend forward and up, then tuck the chin in. So a healthy alignment while seated involves leaning up and forward and tucking that chin in. Standing alignment is going to be somewhat similar. We can see some of the common posture problems that people have, but notice in all three of the common problems that the head is forward of the line of gravity. And then to compensate, it's been found that people put extra weight on heels. So as we lengthen up and forward, we also are going to want to put a little more weight into the balls of the feet as we lengthen that in that same forward and up direction. Here's a demonstration of lengthening up and forward, maybe exaggerated a little bit. So lateral rib breathing can help this. And we want to reach up and lengthening forward. As I mentioned, there's a tendency to put too much weight into the heels, but what we want is about 60% of our weight in our heels and about 40% into the balls of the feet. You may have heard the term four corners of the foot, perhaps in a yoga class if you've taken a yoga class before, or you may hear it in the future, but let's talk about what that might mean. We want the foot to be balanced, and we want to place the weight on four main areas, right? The base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the inside and outside of the heel. We want to kind of balance our ankle and our foot on those four places. So as we balance better and on those places in our feet, put a little more weight into the balls of the feet, we can lengthen out. And it's kind of like squeezing a balloon with those core muscles, but we don't want to squeeze our abs. Think of it more in terms of lengthening out through the top back of the head, with the chin slightly tucked, and then that'll automatically trigger those core muscles. So lengthening up and slightly forward activates core muscles, which you can think of as mainly the abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor. And there's some muscles in our back too, but the abdominal muscles are the main ones to think about. And when this doesn't happen, if we lift our chest, for example, in a movement pattern or breathing pattern, it'll tell those abdominal muscles to shut off.
Hi everybody, Dave Crenshaw, physical therapist. How do you make exercise simple while you're staying at home and social distancing? That's the theme of our video today. The way to make it easy is you think about the 3 planes of motion. And the 3 planes are, right, the forward and backwards direction, the side to side direction, and rotation, right? And all other movements are a combination of those 3. So if you're doing those 3 in your joints, you're going to do a lot to take care of your body. So let's do some examples. So let's start with the head and the neck, right? So if you first tip your chin down and then tip your head forward, and then with your chin staying down and in, then look up last. Tip your chin down, tuck forward, keep your chin in, and look up last. And then let's go side to side. So if you tip your head to the side, keep that shoulder down. And then the other side. Good. And then what's the third one? Rotation, right? So if you turn your head, let those muscles stretch out. Go the other direction. Good. And you do the same thing with the whole torso, right? So you can tuck first, stretch out your back, glide backwards, look up last, tuck your chin down, come forward. Hope I don't have a bald spot. And then come back, yeah, look up last. And then side to side, you can tip your body to the side. Stack up, tip your body to the other side, and stack up. And then of course third one, rotation. So if you turn your belly, turn your shoulders, then your head. Turn your belly, then your shoulders, and then your head. And let's do one more body part, as an example, right? So we got the shoulder blades. So we can go forward and back. And going back, we need that to help counter texting and typing and such. Good, then we can shrug up. Nice, and then of course some big circles. That feels good.
So here's an example of moving well and not so well. It's when we're connected to our abdominal muscles versus when we're not. So a few quick slides for a review. We want to breathe laterally when we inhale, and when we exhale, we really want to let go with the shoulders and the chest as we exhale. To be well balanced and aligned in a seated position, we need to be sitting equally on our 2 sitting bones. And of course, positioned well on our feet.
Session 1 practice session. What we want to do in this session is to practice our lateral breathing. We want to practice sitting and standing alignment and moving in the 3 planes of motion with a fairly good alignment. So let's begin. Lateral rib breathing. So if you place your hands on the lower ribs and then feel the breath start down at the low place by your hands and cascade its way up, and then from the top down, release from the top down. So breathe out sideways and let go from the top down. Just do 2 more. And from the top down. And let go. Very good. So you want to breathe out to the side because that's the least likely to affect posture, right? These other kind of breathing patterns can change how we align and how we move. So work on lateral rib breathing, very important. So let's work on alignment. So when we're seated, we want to work on having that body go this way, right, up and slightly forward, and then to tuck the chin. So to show you from the side, let's work on this. So the typical alignment is like this, right? Where we start to slump and go like that. So to come out of it, we need to go this way to start with, and then that way. So let yourself do that. So be slumpy, and then lengthen out, and then tuck. Slump, and lengthen and tuck. One more. Very good. From that alignment, let's move, right? And just make sure that nothing's getting overdone. But from that alignment, let's do forward bend first. So nice equal on the sitting bones. Forward bend, exhale. Stack from the bottom up. So a nice long arcing motion out past your knees. And stack. One more. Let that back loosen up. And stack. And of course, what we don't want to do is to be too flexed or too extended. Want to find that Goldilocks right in between method there. Nice and long arc. And then stack from the bottom up. Let's do side motion. So equal on the sitting bones. You can grab the bottom of the chair and then start to flow to the side and go a little forward, because the spine doesn't like to go purely to the side. And then stack it from the bottom up. And flow the other direction, a little forward. This feels great to me. I hope it does for you. And flow. And stack. Flow. And stack. Let's do one more each way. Stack and flow and stack. Okay, let's do twist. When we twist, it's so easy to go off into other directions, right? Other planes, and we can actually move farther that if we cheat, but don't cheat. Try to stay just on the one plane when you practice and exercise, and when you're mindful. Stay on one plane. And turn the head last. So even if you're in the car and you're turning to see traffic or something, try to feel the belly and the shoulders, then the head. Belly, shoulders, then the head. So level ribs, level shoulders, hopefully level-headed. And flow back. Let's do one more each side. Feel the belly muscles, keep the belly muscles in charge. Very good. So let's do some of those things in standing position, just a few of each. So first, let's practice breathing sideways. Let that breath cascade from the bottom up and then from the top down. One more. And let's think about our standing alignment. So when we stand, we want to think about 60-40, 60% on the heels, 40% on the balls of the feet, lengthening out through the top back of the head. Let me show you from the side view. So what we want to do is lengthen out. Feel a little more weight in the balls of the feet, out through the top back of the head. But what we don't want to do is think about just pulling the head backwards or lifting the chest. You got to go forward first, that way. And then this way to tuck the chin. So do that a few more times, just lengthen out and feel how to do that in standing. And then from that position, let's do a few movements. So inhale, and then when you exhale, have a long arcing motion. And then rock back up, stack from the bottom up. Inhale, exhale, forward bend. Stack from the bottom up. Long arcing motions. One more. Very good. Now, feel the four corners of the feet. Let's go side to side. So just do a side motion that feels okay for you, however far. Side motion. Let yourself go forward a little. And stack from the bottom up. Make sure it's comfortable. And if you want, you can add a little reach forward and up. Very good. Let's finish with rotation. So of course we want to be in that same position, lengthened up, not overlifted. And then feel the rib cage stay level when we turn. So turn the belly, use those belly muscles, keep the ribs level, and then the shoulders, and finally the head. Feel the belly muscles doing the job. Belly, head turns last. One more each side. I think I owe you one on the other side. Very good. Okay, that's all. So until we meet again, work on these things and be patient, because the body is pretty resistant to change and our habits are very resistant to change. So we just want to notice. If you notice that you're not lateral breathing, just notice and change it to lateral breathing. If you notice you're not sitting equal on your sitting bones, just notice and try to sit equal on your sitting bones. If you notice that you're kind of slumped into whatever posture is your pattern, just think about lengthening out through the top back of the head and then tucking the chin. So try to notice these things, and then also work on some movement, right? So from that position, then work on, forward and backwards motion, side to side motion, a little bit forward when you go to the side, and then rotation, staying on one plane. And it's easier if you tip off and you go into another plane, but try not to, because it's way healthier for the body. So be patient, and until next time.